Hey everyone, it's Nicole here with my Handmade Holiday 2018 series, and today is all about creating some felt ornaments. A couple of years ago, I created some felt ornaments, and they were so much fun to make that I knew that I had wanted to do these bear hugs ornament tags for a while, and it was the perfect time to do them. I thought they really went with my color scheme for the year, which is gray, white, red, and black. You could obviously do these in any color you want, accessorize them with any color you want to match your own personal holiday gift wrap. What I love is that this is 2-in-1. It's an ornament and a gift tag. So we're going to be creating both this adorable plush ornament that's stuffed with polyester fiber fill, decorated with sequins, seed beads, lots of little felt accessories and things, and then creating a paper tag ornament where you can actually write the recipient's name on it and give it, and the tag is going to match because Ellen Hudson, the Essentials by Ellen line, has the adorable little bear in the all inside stamp set that matches perfectly. I do want to preface this, my Handmade Holiday series typically is kind of quick and easy type of projects. There are always those that take a little more time. This is one of those projects that's more time consuming, as was my plush ornaments from 2016, which I will be linking at the end of this video if you want more ideas for plush ornaments. But I felt like this really went with the series. I think this is a fantastic project, not only for us to do, but something you could do with children. It's a great project if you like adding to maybe your ornaments every year and love to give a handmade ornament to grandchildren, your children, nieces, nephews, friends, whatever it might be. This is a fantastic one. And while it does take a little bit more work to put together, I think it's worth it if you like hand sewing and that kind of thing. But it does kind of go together fairly quickly. I will tell you from start to finish, I did a couple of these in a couple of hours, and then at least, I think it may have taken a little less than that. I die cut all the pieces and then sat and watched TV and sewed them together. So probably, I would say maybe an hour and a half to sew 2 of them together from die cut to sewing. So pretty fast. And then the tags, the paper tags that I made to go with this were all created in an hour. So maybe you just want to make the paper tags. If you're not a sewer, the whole paper tag part is at the end of this video, and you can catch that there if you want to fast forward a little bit. I'm showing you all the die cutting process, and you can see that I've got a couple already all put together, and then I've got my pieces all laid out. The holly that I'm using, the little felt holly piece, is from the Lawn Fawn Reindeer Tiny Box add-on. It was just the perfect size. I went through all of my dies looking for a little holly berries that would be, or leaves, pardon me, that would be the right size. And then the gift package is in the Bear Hugs stamp set. So the bear can be holding that. There's also a heart. So maybe you want to make some Valentines. I'm kind of thinking we're going to revisit these felt ornaments in February, so stay tuned for that because I'm addicted to them. I think they're just darling. So I'm going to revisit that with the heart, and but I wanted to add a tree, and so I grabbed the Essentials by Ellen Winter Window Set. This is a newer set for this season, and we're going to use the largest tree from that and add that to his arms. And then on the back side, I used a heart from the Home and Hearth die collection from the Essentials by Ellen, because I like to decorate the back side of my little bears or critters with hearts. I think it's so cute, whether I'm stamping or whether I am creating these felt ornaments. You have probably seen me do something similar because I think it's a really cute and fun little touch. I did just hot glue those in place. If you want to stitch them on, you can definitely do that. Now, the Bear Hugs comes with the nose and eyes. I opted not to do the eyes. You can see that I did die cut the nose from black felt, and I hot glued the nose in place. Again, that's just personal preference. You can very much, if you want to, go ahead and sew that on. Or you could even stitch a nose if you don't want to do the felt piece. I did French knots for the eyes, and I opted to do that instead of the teeny tiny little die cut for the eyes. Just for me, I love the look of French knots. I'm using 6 strands, all 6 strands of embroidery floss that come in a skein, because I wanted them to be nice and thick French knots. I'm also using 6 strands to sew on a little mouth right under the nose. You could leave that off if you wanted to. That would save you a little bit of time, and his face is, his or her face is still super cute. Completely up to you. Now, anything we want to add to the front of our bear, anything we want to sew in place, we need to do now. I sewed the holly on, being really careful to stay away from the stitching holes on the outer edge, because I'm still going to need to be able to stitch through those when I stitch the front and back of my bear together. I want to mention for each ornament, I die cut the main body of the bear twice, and then just the arms one time. That'll give you arms for the front of your bear. I'm going to stitch on now some sequins, which is going to be a red sparkly sequin. I'm thinking, let's see, this is from a Hero Arts sequin pack. I just went through my sequins to find whatever I might have on hand that was red and sparkly, and I'm going to do a trio of those. So we're going to stitch on the sequin. We're going to come up through from the back of the felt piece, through the sequin, and then thread on a red seed bead. You could do clear or another color if you wanted to. I wanted mine to stay very red, so I opted for the red seed bead. Once you come up through the felt, up through the center of the sequin, through the seed bead, wrap around that seed bead, and then go right back through that same hole for the sequin. What's going to happen then is you're going to secure that sequin in place. I did this for all 3 on my cute little bear here, and that's going to give a fun little decoration. This is completely optional. You want to save some time and not have quite so much sewing work to do. My first idea, die cut the matching berries from that Lawn Fawn reindeer add-on set and hot glue the red berries and the felt, both pieces, on. I just hot glued the holly leaves. You could hot glue both and not do any sewing. Or you could leave it off all together and save even more time. For the present, it does have stitching holes. I am taking, again, 6 strands of embroidery floss and going only around the outside edges to stitch the present on. The stitching holes in the center of the package, going both vertically and horizontally, I am going to take a silver metallic thread to those so that it can look like it's a gift wrapped package. You would not have to do that either. You could simply stitch the whole thing on with the same color of embroidery floss, and you wouldn't have to add any special stitching. You're going to see what I mean here in a minute, because I'm going to create some loops at the top of the gift package, which creates a little bit more work. I definitely went the full out type of embellishing for these. I wanted to show you kind of the sky's the limit, what all you could do. I'm sure there's even more things you can do with these. Go through your die collection and see what you have. I think candy canes held in his arms would be cute. All kinds of stuff. I mean, really, when I say the sky's the limit, the sky's the limit. Go through your dies and see what you have that would work with this cute bear. So we're just stitching the present on. Again, very, very important to do anything for the front or the back, if you're stitching anything on the back of your bear, before you stitch the 2 sides together, because it's going to hide all of that ugly stuff on the back when you kind of create the stuffed felt ornament. Now, the silver sparkly thread, I did take all 6 strands. It is a little bit tougher to work with just because it's a little coarser, and of course it has that sparkle filament to it. But I'm going to just run this up the center, kind of just doing a back stitch. And when we get to the top, I'm going to create a loop. So I'm going to come up back through that center little hole, create a loop, go back down through that hole, but I want to hold my loop in place. And then we're simply going to come up kind of at the center of the loop, so out in the gray part of the bear. I hope that makes sense. And we're just going to do a little stitch where we come up, wrap it around the loop, and go back down, and that's just going to couch or hold that loop in place. We're going to do it again, come back up through that center hole, go back down through there, holding the loop in place, and then we're going to come up. Pardon me, I am suffering from the worst cold. I've had it for a week now, and it just isn't going away. And then we're just going to secure that little loop. I kind of had to fiddle with it a little bit. I pulled a little bit too much. And then again, we're just going to secure the loop. This gives a little bit of that decorative touch. This is what I was saying a few minutes ago, where if you want to leave this part out and maybe just stitch horizontally and vertically in a different color, you could. You could die cut a bow and secure it to the top of the package with hot glue or a fabric glue instead of doing the stitching. Whatever kind of floats your boat, whatever you enjoy doing. I did a lot of the stitching on mine just because for whatever reason I am really into hand stitched projects. I have a ton of them going right now, hand stitched with felt. I have this bucket of felt, and I've had it for a couple years, you know, kind of the felt craze, probably about 2 years ago when I did the other felt ornaments, and I have all this felt, and I did a whole bunch of projects, and I just love them, and then I kind of put it all aside, put it away, and I got it back out this year, and I have tons of felt projects. I don't know what it is, I just love, love, love them. Okay, I felt it was really easiest to hot glue my tree to the package. I will admit I did this a couple different ways. I didn't really remember when I did my first couple of bear ornaments. I just did the package, and so these were a last minute addition, and I kind of had to, you know, mess with it a little bit and try to figure out the best way. But what I found was easiest is gluing the tree in place, but not adding glue at the very tippy top of the tree. That way you can come in from the back, and just like we did with the holly berries, only this time I'm using a silver star sequin and a clear seed bead at the top of the tree. And that just gives the top of the tree a fun little sparkly star, which once we glue or stitch and then glue the arms down in place over the center of the bear, it's going to look a lot better. I know right now it just looks like it's kind of hanging out there in outer space. So I'm going to do the same thing for the second one. When I am sewing on the sequins and seed beads, super important, I'm only using 2 strands of embroidery floss, number 1. Number 2, you want to use a beading needle. This is a teeny tiny little needle with a very tiny eye, so you're not going to be able to get very many strands of floss through anyway. I like to use 2 just in case one breaks. It's like a security thing for me, I think. And then just come up through your sequin, through your bead, wrap it around the bead, back through the hole in the sequin, and then to the back of your project. We've got our trees, we've got our presents, we've got our holly and berries in place. We are ready now to put our bear together. So I'm only going to show sewing one of these bears together on camera to save a little bit of time. And there is a little trick to sewing them together. Now I like to start with one arm, and I'm going to figure out where that goes, match the holes up, and then I'm going to come up from the back just in one side because that's going to hide the knot. Then I'm going to go up and down every other hole. I'm going to grab the backing piece. So we've got 3 layers when we have the arm, but 2 layers for just the bear. And we're going to go up and down every hole, and that's going to leave a space between each. Don't worry, we are going to come back and fill that in so that it is continuous stitching all the way around. This just makes the back look as nice as the front, and you'll see what I mean here as we are working. Also, any of those little holes that die cut but didn't pop out, because they tend to like to stick because this is felt, will pop out as you're working your needle up and down through the holes in the felt piece. You can see they're on my work table, they're on my pants, my clothes, they're on everything. When I'm stitching, I usually just take a little dustbuster or vacuum and clean all of that up. So we are going to continue to stitch all the way around the bear, every other hole, just up and down, up and down. When you get to the other side, don't forget to add the arm, and again, continue stitching. That's going to stitch both arms in place. Once we're done with the stitching and the stuffing the ornament, I will hot glue the hands down just to kind of so they don't flop around or start curling up. Now when you get to the top to the ear, I forgot and I actually had to undo some of my stitches. You want to add your hanger. If you're going to make this an ornament, you want to add some string in. And I just like to secure mine with my stitches. So I undid that real fast, and I've got a piece of red and white baker's twine that I'm just going to secure in between, and I'm stitching it in place. It is kind of a little bit of a pain while you're stitching, but I promise this requires no additional sewing. If you do it this way, it secures it in between those stitches. It's just a fantastic way. And I like a decorative hanger, so this red and white baker's twine is really fun to use. Now when you get close to the other side, you want to stuff your bear. And you can stuff it as thin or as plush as you want. I just kind of stuff it until I feel like it's, you know, fairly firm, but still will stitch shut really nicely. I'm using polyester fiber fill. You can use other types of filling if you'd like to, cotton balls or other things. Then we're going to finish stitching up this side, or finish the, you know, every other stitching. And then when we get to the end, we are going to start filling in. So we're just going to go back up and down, but this time we're going up and down, filling in between where we went before. This is going to give you the continuous stitching look, and it's going to make the front look as nice as the back. When we get to the end of stitching all the way around, I like to just hide my stitches by kind of just taking my needle and going through the sides and doing that, going back and forth a couple times and securing it. You could also do a little knot if you want to, but I generally just kind of go back and forth through the stuffing and everything, and then pull my needle out and then snip the end. And I feel like it's going to stay pretty secure. Look how nice that stitching looks now by doing it this way. And you've got this adorable plush little bear. I purposely have not knotted the ends of my baker's twine. It's part of what makes it kind of a hassle, but because I want to add a paper tag, I went ahead and left those loose, and we will secure those and knot them here in just a minute. So I followed this exact same procedure for the other 4 ornaments. I made 5 of these total. And there is what it looks like. Aren't these just adorable? I absolutely love them. I'm hot gluing the hands down in place, and that finishes the felt part of the ornament. Let's do the paper tag. I opted to use the Mama Elephant Framed Tags Union Square tags, which I absolutely love. And we are going to die cut the back of the tag from red cardstock using the solid frame. That's what you see in the upper part of the video. And then for the interactive part of the tag, we're using that same tag piece with the stitched opening. So it's going to open, and mine's going to open from the bottom. It could also open like a book if you want to. And I'm going to die cut this set 5 times to make the front of the tag. So we have a front, which is white, and the back of the tag, which is red. You fold it up on that score line at the top, and you can see that the little flap will open up to reveal, in this case, a sentiment, and you can also write the recipient of the gift's name. This is kind of the more gift tag part of this set. So on the white piece, I am going to stamp the bear from the All Inside Essentials by Ellen stamp set, kind of at an angle, and we are going to adorn him with the bear Ware Santa hat and candy cane. So we need to do the Santa hat and candy cane first, and then mask those off and stamp the bear. And I'm going to have him kind of coming in at an angle. The white cardstock I used was very specific for this project. It's Bristol Smooth cardstock. I'm going to stamp my images with VersaFine Onyx black ink and color in the images with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I purposely used these markers and this cardstock because the markers are not going to bleed through like Copic markers, like an alcohol ink based marker would. You could also stamp on a cardstock that works with colored pencils and color with colored pencils if you wanted to, and save a little bit of time. Or not time, pardon me. Save yourself from having the bleed through from an alcohol ink marker. The reason I chose this, something that wouldn't bleed through, is because when you lift the flap, I did not want to see the Copic marker bleed through on that flap. I wanted it to be clean and white. So I'm simply masking off this little area along the bottom edge and stamping the Santa hat and candy cane on all 5 tags. I'm using the Misty so that it makes doing this super easy. It's going to stamp it in the same place every single time. Once I have that, I am going to cut out my masks and mask the hat and candy cane. Now, as it turned out, I don't think I actually had to mask the candy cane, even though I did. And we are going to reuse these all 5 times. I think if you were creating more than 5 tags, you might have to do the masks more than once, but this one mask worked all 5 times for me. I'm using tweezers to pick them up so I keep my fingers out of the ink as I stamp the bear. So just using my tweezers to move the masks in and out of place on each tag. You can see how easy it is to create multiple tags super fast. I left this in because I wanted you to see, if you only want to do this part of the project, you could create all 5 of these in an hour or less, which I think is so phenomenal and so fun. So if the felt ornament part is not your thing, or maybe you are just short on time, this little part here would be a great little tag all on its own. We'll stamp this last one. And now we are ready to go ahead and move all this out of the way, and let's stamp the inside. So again, just like the front of the tag, on the inside we are going to set it up in our Misty 1 time and then stamp it all 5 times. I'm using 3 lines of text, wishing you a very Merry Christmas, because of course that goes with our bear theme. And I, for whatever reason, had a ton of trouble with my sentiments, getting them exactly where I wanted them. I want to stamp it just 1 time, so I am using a powder tool, stamping with a clear embossing ink, sprinkling on white embossing powder, and heat setting. After I did the first one, I kind of smartened up, and I'm going to stamp them all, set them aside, and then I'll sprinkle white embossing powder on all of them all at once, and then heat set all of them. So very, very fast, assembly line style, card or tag making at its finest here. So sprinkling it on, heat setting it, and then we are ready to color in our little bear and put the tags all together. Now don't forget to take a dry rag or paper towel and buff any of that powder off of the dark cardstock so you don't have any of that powder residue. Here is the Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers. I'm using a couple of colors of red. These colors are listed and linked in the supplies under the video here on YouTube. I am using geranium red and light carmine for anything red on my card. And then I'm using dark gray and light gray for the bears with the new blender. I say new, it's not super new, but it's one of the newer ones. It's a clear blender, so it's going to just kind of blend out to clear, I guess, for lack of a better way to explain it. So I start with my dark, blend out with the light, and then I blend it out even further with my blender to lighten it up. And I took a little pink haze for the inside of the ears and the cheeks. Then I put some 1/8 inch score tape around all 4 sides, and I'm going to put the front of my tag to the back of my tag. You can see that the nose is a nice dark black and the eyes are nice and dark. I took a black pen to add detail to those. I used the White Blizzard Nouveau Crystal drops on the brim and pom-pom of the hat, so they're going to dry sparkly. And then when the nose is completely dry, I will take a white opaque pen and add a highlight to the nose. I'm going to string then the paper tag to my felt ornament and knot my baker's twine together to secure them. Super easy for the recipient then to either trim or tear away the gift tag portion, and you're left with the beautiful felt ornament. So here is kind of a look. Let's do one more. I found if you put it in kind of upside down, I liked the presentation of this a little better because it makes the tag kind of hang behind the felt ornament. We're going to knot those, snip the ends, and there is our felt ornament. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these felt ornament tags featuring the Essentials by Ellen dies. The supplies I used to create my tags are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring felt ornaments or Essentials by Ellen products that you might be interested in. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.